So you want to really get what's happening with India's services sector, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating.
It really is. We've been going through all these reports, and it's more than just numbers. It's like a huge economic shift happening with global implications. I mean, think about it. 55% of their whole economy is services.
Right, and it's not just surviving, it's actually thriving. Especially after the pandemic,
Yeah.
it's come back even stronger. Like, we're seeing growth across the board,
Wow.
even exceeding pre-pandemic levels. Just look at fiscal year 2024, they hit a 7.6% real growth rate.
That's pretty impressive.
It is.
Especially when you remember all those worries about, like, travel and tourism.
Yeah, those sectors that really depend on, face-to-face.
Exactly.
But we're seeing a huge resurgence. I think it's a combination of pent-up demand, for sure,
Makes sense.
but also the integration of technology. It's been crucial.
Oh, for sure.
Digital payments, e-commerce, online service delivery, it's all taken off.
So basically, the pandemic sort of forced them to fast forward their digital transformation.
Exactly. And speaking of transformation, have you seen the infrastructure upgrades?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty impressive.
New expressways, airports popping up everywhere thanks to the UDAN scheme.
Right?
There's even this cool app
Oh, yeah?
called Sagar Setu.
Thakur set too?
Streamlines port operations, uses tech to optimize cargo movement,
Wow.
reduces turnaround times. It's all part of India's goal to be a major maritime hub.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, and there's more. They're aiming to be a global drone hub by 2030.
That's ambitious.
It is very ambitious.
Oh, they're definitely embracing cutting-edge technology. Okay, let's talk tourism. A 43% jump in foreign tourist arrivals in 2023.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's a serious influx of foreign exchange. And of course, a hotel construction boom.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And not just construction, hotel rates are up too.
Makes sense with the demand.
The average daily rate increased by over 13% in 2023. And the government is really pushing this growth with things like the Prashad scheme.
Prashad.
Yeah, it's all about developing and revitalizing pilgrimage sites across India,
Oh, interesting.
improving infrastructure, amenities, accessibility, making the whole visitor experience better, especially for spiritual tourism.
So they're really tapping into that market.
Oh, absolutely. And there's also Swadesh Darshan 2.0, which aims to develop 55 iconic destinations, attract both domestic and international tourists.
So they're going all out to showcase all the different things India has to offer tourists.
Definitely.
But it's not just about tourism, right? I mean, real estate is having a moment, too.
Huge moment. Sales hit a decade high in 2023.
Wow.
I think part of it is the increased transparency and accountability from the Real Estate Regulation and Development Act, RERA for short.
Right.
It addressed a lot of the issues that used to plague the sector,
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
boosted buyer confidence.
So that was a game changer.
It really was.
But what about affordability? Is it actually getting easier for, the average Indian to buy a home?
That's definitely a focus for the government. The Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban Scheme, or PMYU.
PMYU.
It's a major initiative to provide affordable housing to millions,
That's good to hear.
financial assistance, subsidies.
Right.
It's making homeownership a reality for a lot of people.
So they're working on both ends of the spectrum, boosting the high-end market with things like tourism,
Right.
luxury development,
Uh-huh.
but also making sure affordable housing is a priority.
Exactly.
Okay, what about tech? Is India's Silicon Valley living up to the hype?
Oh, I think it's exceeding expectations in a lot of ways.
Well,
Global Capability Centers, or GCCs, are growing like crazy,
ACCs.
attracting multinational companies to set up their R&D and tech operations in India.
Interesting.
These GCCs brought in over $46 billion in revenue just in fiscal year 2023.
Wow. So they're not just providing IT services, they're becoming hubs for innovation.
Exactly. And the startup scene. It's exploding.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
India has the third largest startup ecosystem globally.
Wow.
Ed tech, enterprise tech, those are really hot sectors right now.
So it sounds like they're building this super robust digital economy.
Yeah, they are.
But what about the foundation? How's the telecommunications infrastructure holding up with all this growth?
Oh, that's key. Remember when data used to be so expensive?
Yeah.
Well, 5G rollout is changing everything.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
High-speed internet is getting more affordable and accessible across the country.
Amazing how quickly things are changing.
It is.
Sounds like the government is really trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Oh, absolutely. They're already looking ahead to 6G.
6G.
Yeah, there's the Bharat 6G vision document. It outlines a roadmap for future development.
So that's a lot of forward thinking.
It is.
Okay, let's talk about something that's already having a huge impact. The e-commerce boom.
It's been incredible. The pandemic really sent online shopping into overdrive.
Yeah, that makes sense. People were stuck at home.
Exactly. And it's showing no signs of slowing down. But what's interesting is how the government is working to make sure this growth is inclusive.
Oh, how are they doing that?
Initiatives like the Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC.
ONDC.
It's designed to level the playing field.
In what way?
It's basically creating a more open and democratic e-commerce ecosystem.
Okay.
Small businesses, even individual sellers, can participate on an equal footing with the bigger platforms.
That's a big deal.
It is. It could empower millions of micro-entrepreneurs, including women in self-help groups. Gives them access to a much wider market.
Wow. It sounds like they're really focused on using technology to empower people and drive economic growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
But all this growth needs people, right?
Yeah.
A skilled workforce.
Yeah.
How is India making sure they have the talent to support this booming services sector?
That's a crucial point. They're focusing on upskilling and reskilling the workforce,
Okay.
particularly in those cutting-edge fields, AI, blockchain, the Internet of Things.
So it's not just about traditional education anymore. It's about continuously adapting to the demands of the job market.
Exactly. And there are programs like Future Skills Prime. It's all about equipping people with the skills they'll need for the jobs of tomorrow.
So it seems like they're really investing in their human capital.
They are.
But honestly, no success story is without its challenges, right?
That's true.
And that's what we'll dig into in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore some of the hurdles India's services sector is facing and how they're tackling them. So we've seen all this incredible growth and the amazing potential in India's services sector.
It's pretty impressive.
But like with any rapidly growing economy, there are going to be some growing pains, right?
Oh, definitely.
What are some of the challenges they're facing?
Well, one of the biggest is bridging that digital skills gap.
Right.
We talked about all that technological advancement.
Yeah,
But to actually make use of it, you need a workforce that knows how to leverage it.
that makes sense.
You know, it's like having all the latest gadgets, but not having a clue how to use them.
Exactly.
That's what they're trying to avoid.
So how are they tackling this? The skills gap, I mean.
Well, the government has launched several initiatives.
Okay.
Skill India, for one. And they've revamped the national education policy to better align education with what industries actually need.
So they're trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, but it's an ongoing process, especially with technology constantly evolving.
Right. Always changing.
They need to foster a culture of lifelong learning, make reskilling and upskilling a national priority.
So it sounds like they're laying the groundwork,
They are.
but it's a long-term thing.
It is.
What other challenges are they kind of keeping an eye on?
Well, access to financing is a big one,
Okay.
especially for small and medium enterprises.
Right. They're like the backbone of the economy, right?
Exactly. But they often struggle to get the capital they need to actually grow.
I can imagine.
Navigating the bureaucracy, all the paperwork involved in getting loans,
It's daunting.
it can be a real deterrent.
It's like trying to run a marathon with your shoelaces tied together.
That's a good way to put it.
It's not going to work very well.
No, it's not. But the government is trying to make things easier.
How?
Schemes like Mujra Yojana,
Yeah.
Startup India, Stand Up India.
Right.
These aim to make credit more accessible, streamline those loan processes, create a more supportive financial ecosystem.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hey.
So we've got the skills gap and access to financing. Anything else keeping the leaders of the services sector up at night?
Logistics and transportation infrastructure?
Oh, right.
Still a major hurdle. We talked about all those upgrades.
Yeah.
But easing bottlenecks, getting those logistics costs down, simplifying regulatory compliance.
Oh, right.
That's all crucial for keeping the growth going.
So it's like having a shiny new car, but you're stuck in traffic all the time.
Exactly.
That's the point.
And India has this huge opportunity.
What is it?
Their coastline, their river network.
Oh, you mean for transportation?
Yeah, more efficient and sustainable transportation.
Like inland waterways.
Exactly.
I've heard those are really big in Europe.
Yeah, like the Netherlands. They have a huge network of inland waterways.
Oh, wow.
They handle a big chunk of their freight traffic.
That's interesting.
It's cost-effective, environmentally friendly, reduces congestion on the roads.
So India could really benefit from like adopting a similar approach.
Absolutely.
Are they doing anything like that?
Some regions, like Kerala,
Okay.
they're using their backwaters for both tourism and transportation.
That's cool.
Imagine if they could do that on a national scale.
Yeah, that would be a game changer for sure. Okay, let's switch gears for a second and talk about the digital revolution happening in the services sector.
Yeah.
It seems like it could be a bit of a double-edged sword.
Right, it can be. You know, with more digitization comes more concerns about data privacy and cybersecurity,
Right.
data breaches, cyber attacks.
They're becoming so common.
They are, and the consequences can be devastating for businesses and individuals.
It's like building a beautiful house, but forgetting to install a security system.
Exactly.
Not very smart.
Not at all. The government is trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Data protection laws, cybersecurity policies.
Right.
But it's a constant race.
Against the bad guys.
Yeah. Those threats are getting more and more sophisticated.
It's like a never-ending game of cat and mouse.
It can feel that way sometimes. They really need to foster innovation in security technologies.
Okay.
Encourage widespread adoption of, really robust security measures if they want to maintain trust and confidence in the digital economy.
So it's about building that secure digital foundation.
Exactly.
But what about specific sectors within the services sector? Are there any unique challenges that they're dealing with?
Well, let's look at tourism.
Okay.
It's bouncing back, that's for sure. But if they want to attract those high-spending tourists and make sure the growth is sustainable,
Yeah.
they're going to need continued investment
Yeah.
in infrastructure, creative marketing,
Okay.
and they need to develop unique experiences, show off India's incredible culture and heritage.
So it's not enough to just say, come visit India.
No, it's not. They need to offer something special
Right.
and cater to what global travelers want.
Those demands are always changing.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the people.
What do you mean?
Tourism can create tons of jobs.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But those jobs need to be good jobs, not just low-paying seasonal gigs.
That's true.
It's about creating a sustainable and inclusive tourism ecosystem, one that benefits everyone involved.
So responsible tourism, not just about making a profit.
Exactly.
Okay, now what about real estate?
It's booming, as we said, but affordability,
Yeah.
that's a major challenge.
Especially in those big cities, right?
Especially in urban areas, property prices are through the roof.
So the dream of owning a home is kind of
Slipping away.
slipping away for a lot of people.
It is. And then there's the issue of those stalled real estate projects, the ones that have been dragging on forever.
Oh, yeah.
They're a huge financial burden and a source of frustration for everyone, developers, buyers.
It's like a graveyard of unfulfilled aspirations.
Perfect description. Resolving those projects is going to require some creative solutions, innovative financing models.
Are they doing anything about it?
Oh, yeah. The government is actively looking into options.
Okay. So real estate is a mixed bag, it sounds like.
It is. Lots of potential, but some serious roadblocks. Just like India's services sector in general, actually.
It's dynamic,
It is.
evolving.
It has its opportunities and its challenges.
So where do we go from here? What does the future hold for this vital sector of the Indian economy?
That's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. We'll look at the long-term outlook, the potential for continued growth, and the key things that will shape the future of India's services sector.
All right, so we've covered the impressive growth and all those hurdles that India's services sector is facing. The big question is,
Yeah.
what's next? What does the future hold?
Well, the outlook is really promising,
Good.
but it's not simple.
Okay.
It's kind of like, imagine a tightrope walker,
Yeah.
skillfully navigating this high wire. That's India's services sector right now.
Wow, that's a good analogy.
Tremendous potential for growth, but they have to maintain balance.
Yeah, they can't afford to, fall off the tightrope.
Exactly. And especially with all those global economic headwinds they're facing.
Oh, right. So what are some of the things they need to watch out for?
Well, the global landscape is constantly shifting.
Yeah, always changing.
Economic slowdowns, raising protectionism, geopolitical uncertainties.
Right.
All of that can impact India's service exports, which are a big part of their economy.
So they need to be really flexible in their approach.
Definitely. Adaptable. Strategic.
Makes
Diversifying their export markets, focusing on those high-value services,
Okay.
and constant innovation is key.
Yeah, they can't just stay still.
Exactly.
But we talked about the skills gap earlier. How can they make sure their workforce is actually ready for what's coming next?
Well, that's where public-private partnerships are really important.
Right.
They need to work together, make sure education and training programs are aligned with what industries need.
So like real-world skills.
Exactly. Encouraging lifelong learning, making reskilling and upskilling a priority.
So it's not just about like getting a degree.
No.
It's about being prepared for, how fast things are changing.
Exactly. And it's not just technical skills. Soft skills are more important than ever.
Oh, right. Like what?
Communication, critical thinking, problem solving.
Yeah, those are always valuable.
Especially in a world that's becoming more and more automated.
Okay, we can't talk about the future without talking about sustainability, right? How can India make sure its services sector grows in a responsible way?
That's a great question. India has a real opportunity here. They could be a pioneer for a sustainable services model.
Like what would that look like?
Green buildings, ecotourism,
Hmm.
energy-efficient practices,
Okay.
really weaving sustainability into everything they do.
So it's not just about economic growth.
Yeah.
It's about making sure that growth is responsible and inclusive.
Exactly. Addressing gender inequality,
Right.
promoting social mobility,
Right.
making sure everyone benefits. That's crucial for long-term success.
Otherwise, it's like, what's the point?
Exactly. You just end up creating a system that works for some but leaves others behind.
And that's not sustainable in the long run.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But India seems committed to tackling these challenges.
Well, that's good.
Schemes like ONDC, the one we talked about before,
Yeah.
it's designed to empower small businesses in those marginalized communities.
So it's about creating a system where everybody has a chance to succeed.
Yes, exactly. And that's ultimately what will determine the long-term success of India's services sector.
It's more than just the numbers.
It is.
It's about the people.
It's about creating a future that works for everyone.
That's a great way to put it. So if there's one thing you want our listeners to think about, what would it be?
India's services sector is at a crossroads.
Okay.
The decisions they make now will have a huge impact down the line. They have the potential to be a global leader,
I believe that.
but it takes bold decisions, innovative thinking, a real commitment to inclusive and sustainable growth.
Well said. It's a really fascinating story,
It is.
and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into India's services sector.
My pleasure.
And until next time, keep exploring.